Welcome back to the CoolFigurez channel. I'm your host, Jesse the Bat Madrigal, aka the Buff Collector. The information on this channel is time for adult collectors and not children. And welcome to episode 57 of Coffee and Toys, guys. We have some serious channel updates to talk about today. We'll get into that first and foremost. Of course, we'll talk about this week's Coffee and Toys Live, this week's toy haul, and of course, this week's toy news, and so much more. But first, if you're new, then welcome. This channel is all about cool action figures, analyzing them, hunting them, taking pics of them, and of course, playing with them. If that's your sort of thing, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and hit that bell notification icon so you stay notified when I do upload new content. If you do enjoy this video or any other videos that I put out, please remember to give them a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. With all of that being said, guys, once again, welcome to episode 57 of Coffee and Toys. And so I think we should just get right on into the channel updates, guys. And I want to say first and foremost, thank you. Thank you to each and every single one of you. Thank you to those of you that watch this podcast in particular, but just in general, to those of you that just watch the channel in general. Thank you so much. It's because of you guys that I, carve time out of my day to, film this, and as well as carve time out of my weekend to edit it and upload it. And I've told you guys before, it's not a quick and easy thing to do. And so I really do appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy day to appreciate the hard work that I took out of my busy day to bring these podcast videos to you guys. I just want to say that first and foremost, thank you so much. Like I said, it's because of you that I do this. I have fun, and I have fun talking with you guys in the comments and in my DMs about stuff. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Couldn't ask for a better audience. So with that being said, guys, unfortunately, I'm going to have to announce the cancellation of Coffee and Toys, the podcast, as well as Coffee and Toys Live, the live show that I do on Instagram every week. So there will be one more of each. Thankfully, this is not the final episode. It's kind of like when a series ends and you know it's going to end. I can plan something out real quick, but when it happens, it's like, oh, okay. So next week will be the final Coffee and Toys Live. It will be streamed on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday, though. It was supposed to be the first ever Thursday broadcast, and going forward, it was going to be every Thursday. So that will be still going on, and we'll talk about this week's guest in a bit. But the following Sunday, next Sunday's podcast will also be the final Coffee and Toys podcast, unfortunately. So for the past 2 years since the pandemic started, much like everybody else, I got into this hobby because there was nothing else to do really, and having fun with toys once again, just being at home playing with them, really reignited that spark and got me back into the hobby, as you guys can obviously see, and so much more so, because I found toy photography, and that really, like I always tell people, I've never had any artistic ability. I can't draw stick figures. Anything I draw, it just looks like utter and complete shit. However, I always had an ability to play with toys, and I know you're probably thinking, well, everybody has the ability to play with toys, and I mean, I would set up certain scenes and scenarios as a child where my mom would walk in and be like, whoa, that looks really cool or really interesting, like, you know what I mean? So to me, that was my form of creativity in art, because I couldn't draw them, but I had them in figure form, and I was going to pose them and put them in cool places and positions and vehicles and whatnot. And so when I found out that toy photography was an actual thing, it lit something up inside of me, and I knew I had found a way for me to be artistic without having any kind of artistic drawing capabilities, and even still, so I don't know how to use Photoshop, so my artistic ability in toy photography is very limited, but at the same time, it's forced me to find new ways or be creative with ways of hiding stands, getting figures to pose a certain way, balanced out and whatnot, kind of like this guy. Obviously, I picked the hardest one to be in a running pose because he has the classic, Mezco sneakers instead of the new bootcut ones. But it's forced me to learn, techniques like that and balancing. And then I found there was a whole community, and, that drove my love for this even further, because it's like, wow, not only are there other people doing this, but there are other people that are better than me that are doing this, which means they've been doing this for a lot longer, which means I can learn from these people. I've always believed in that saying that Qui-Gon says in episode 1 when they're underwater with Jar Jar. I know, don't mention Jar Jar. But, when they're getting chased by the big fish, and he looks at them at the end after the biggest fish eats the bigger fish, and he's like, there's always a bigger fish. I've always kept that in my mind. No matter how big you get, there's always a fucking bigger fish that you can learn from, that you can get stronger for. And so, unless you're like the top of the top, like you're Kobe Bryant, then you are the biggest fish. But that's very rare and far and few. Even some of the top up there aren't even the bigger fish, because there's always someone new up and coming that's stronger, better, and the bigger fish at that point. So it excited me, for something being art to excite me like that was really not something that happened often. Besides maybe like comic books, stuff like that. But even back in the day, I didn't really read comic books too much. So then I wanted to share my collection with further people, and I wanted to do this thing that was called toy reviews from these grown men that were just essentially playing with toys on camera and having fun talking with other people in the community about them. And so I tried my hand at it, and I decided I really enjoyed it. I started off with like maybe 5 or 6 views, and I just really enjoyed talking about toys. And now the reviews are still going to be coming. I'm going to try to stay on top of them, because that's something I don't have to spend relatively too much time doing in terms of like, editing and stuff. They're usually, anywhere between really 5 to 10, 15 minutes. Maybe like a Mezco that's jam-packed with a lot of accessories like these guys may stretch into 20, 30 minutes. But that's very far and few in between. So I can still keep that going. However, the stuff like the podcast, it's very difficult, so that's going to have to go. But getting back into this, and then after I did reviews for a while, I figured I wanted to do something that kind of put the face to the voice and to the photography, and I wanted to connect on a more face-to-face level with my audience, with you guys, with other collectors, so that way you can see my genuine reaction to these things, like when I would talk about them in my toy hauls and whatnot. So that way that my excitement when I'm talking about them in my reviews isn't fake at all. Like I always say, pretty much up until maybe recently, which was a few items, I've never received anything for free. And when I do, I always let you know, so that way what my... And even when I do, and the few times that I do let you guys know that, it's been brought to you by my friends at so-and-so. But my reviews are genuine. I really do believe what I say. You can probably base it off my other reviews that I have, so yeah, guys, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this podcast and making my time dedication to it worth it. And thank you so much to those of you that tuned in live every week, or even just caught the replay, or even just watched it after the podcast was over, because that's where I always would put the live. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much to my amazing guests this year. I had an amazing time talking to each and every single one of them, getting to engage with them live. After I did my podcast, I knew there was a better way to engage with my followers and the other toy community, members. And I found that in the form of live streaming on Instagram. And I've spoken to so many great toy community people this year. I had so many more lined up for you guys, and I do have to apologize to them. I'm going to try my hardest to maybe try and reschedule them to potentially Saturday, Sunday. Unfortunately, the job I am taking on is a split shift, and so I will be working morning, and then I get a little break in the afternoon, and then I go back up until 8 o'clock. And so it's not feasible for me to get home at 8 o'clock, especially when some of these people live in, the East Coast or even the Midwest, where they're 2 hours ahead. If I'm getting home at 8, I need an hour to set up, make my coffee, get everything ready, just calm down, get ready. And so that would put me at 9 o'clock, and at East Coast, that's pretty much midnight, isn't it? 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it's midnight. And so, I do this on a Wednesday, Thursday at this point, and I wouldn't ask that of people, to stay up late just for a free live show for Instagram and stuff. And so even myself, I'm going to be tired from work. I'm actually going to be managing a gym, making this announcement about closing out and ending Coffee and Toys and Coffee and Toys Live is just as hard as me making the announcement that I'm having to close my own personal training business. For a long time, like I said, for the past 2 years, I've been working from home. I've been very blessed in the fact that I was having enough clients to supplement my income, and I was able to, do that. However, as things go, economy starts to turn, luxuries have to go first. I mean, we all know this as toy collectors. We're all cutting back on toys because the economy is the way it is and prices are the way they are. And so, I understand, but I still have to eat. I still have to buy toys. So I made the executive decision to close my personal training business and go and run an LA Fitness instead. So there's a new chapter, new choices, new opportunities, like I always say. However, it's at the sacrifice at certain things. I am a bodybuilder, so I do dedicate a lot of my time to not only being in the gym from an hour to two, but also eating my meals and stuff, and that cuts out a lot of time having to prep my meals, make my meals, eat my meals. And a lot of the times I wish I could sit there and edit while I eat, but at the same time I'm just trying to scarf it down and eat and focus. And so I end up not even doing anything and just focusing on eating, and so I end up hindering myself that much more because I'm not spending that time editing. And so it's just not feasible for me to continue the podcast, because if I wanted to continue the reviews, I can continue the reviews, but if I wanted to continue the podcast, I would think I would have to cut out all the reviews. And I really enjoy the reviews because it really goes back to also my toy photography. For each review I include 10 toy review pics, and that's where I find the most enjoyment and fun, and attaching that to my review and what I'm saying and what I like about the new figure and how it can articulate, do this and that. That's why I personally try to always shoot the figure first and then do the toy review. That way I know what it's capable of and what it's really not, and I try to point those things out. But it doesn't always happen that way, I'll be honest. Sometimes I have time to film the video, but I don't have time to shoot the shots, or I know I won't have time to shoot the video later, but I know I'll have time to shoot the shots later. So I'm just like, let me get the video done now, since I can get the video done now, and then I'll get to the toy photography. But I still always explore all the articulation points during the videos. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to say, I know this is a long-winded whole thing, but like I said, it does really hurt for me to say this. I knew that in the near future it may have had to end because I was going to be going off to Maui and stuff. But this is happening a lot sooner than that. I was thinking mid next summer, but now this is happening in about a week. So once again, thank you so much to all the guests that I had on to Coffee and Toys Live this past year. I apologize, and thank you to all the guests that I had expected to come on. Like I said, I'm going to try and reschedule them all. I technically have enough guests up until I think the first or second week of December, which is only about a month and a half. So I'm going to try and reschedule those and have those. Unfortunately, those will be the final ones if I do manage to get them to reschedule. And I'll just, download them and upload them here to YouTube, as well as post them on my Instagram feed. And yeah, guys, thank you so much to each and every single one of you for tuning in on every Wednesday and Sunday for Coffee and Toys Live and the podcast, or just catching the replay whenever you had some free time. I really do appreciate it. It meant the world to me, and it still does, and like I said, I'll still keep up with my reviews. I'm going to try my hardest this weekend to just pump out as many as I can. I have a lot that I have filmed and ready to go. I just need to edit them. So I'm going to try to get those all up and stuff, and then I'm going to try to get some in-depth behind-the-scenes toy photography videos shot this weekend and next weekend. I'm going to try and pump out at least enough for the end of the year, plus maybe January, February. I'm going to try, no promises, but we'll see what I can get done, and then that way I'm just set up. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, and now let's go ahead and talk about our guest, who is going to be appearing on the final Coffee and Toys Live, barring any ablements of reschedulement. So I say it's the last one, guys, but I'm going to talk to my guests and see if they can reschedule for maybe Friday night. Maybe Friday night might work because I get off at 7 on Fridays. So I'll see what they say, and I'll get back to you guys on next week's episode. But next week's guest for Coffee and Toys Live, the unofficial last one, I guess if they say yes, they'll be like just, I don't know, I'll rename it something fancy like TV shows do. But the unofficial last episode of Coffee and Toys Live guest will be Kiko Collects. If you don't know who he is a 1/6 collector and also a YouTuber here on YouTube. And yeah, he gives you guys a lot of great tips on how to display your figures, what to buy for your displays, where to find these figures, care and cleaning tips for your figures. So yeah, guys, I would highly recommend, if you're a 1/6 collector or want to get into 1/6 collecting, check out his channel, so that way you can learn a lot, guys. That's where I really got my confidence to get into 1/6 collecting, and I was like, okay, now that I've seen this, I have a lot of great information, and I thank him, and I look forward, and I'm excited to talk to him as well. So I did have a few guests lined up, like I said. So after Kiko, I have technically Mad Hatter Reviews up next after him. I'm going to talk to him, see if he can reschedule for Friday or Saturday or Sunday. We'll see. I was also going to talk to Valaverse, the toy company, coming out with those awesome army figures. Once again, I will talk to them and see if they can reschedule. After that was supposed to be technically Thanksgiving, so I was going to speak with Mandy. You know what, at this point, I think I'm just going to take that week off because I'll be working, and I'm probably going to just want that week off. So unfortunately, I may have to try and reschedule her for a following week after my final one, because I hate just totally canceling on my guest. But after her, I was supposed to have TMNT Picks. He's actually doing a documentary on turtle collectors, so that really interested me, and so I was like, come on the show, let's talk about your documentary. And he said okay. And finally, I was supposed to have Ziggy of the Fett on. She's a spicy cosplayer that's all into Star Wars, and yeah, I'll see if she can reschedule as well. And at this point, I will not be reaching out to any further guests, because yeah, if they can't reschedule, then it's just going to end at that. And so yeah, guys, thank you so much once again for watching the live streams or watching the replays whenever you caught it. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much to this past week's guest, Diorama Prince. The owner and operator, Rachel, is a small business owner and a very, very hard worker, coming out with some amazing diorama prints. We talk about Wave 5, Wave 6, upcoming waves, her thought process on how she picks what settings and backgrounds for each wave. You know, her ideas for future projects, future ideas, and so much more, guys. So definitely stay after this portion of the podcast to check out the live. And yeah, guys, I look forward to the unofficial last one, and hopefully I can do like the lost episodes. You know, that's what it's gonna be called, Coffee and Toys, the lost episodes, because next week will officially be the final technical unofficial last episode if they can't. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in every Wednesday on Instagram Live, or catching the replay whenever you could, and tuning in every Sunday here on YouTube, or catching the replay whenever you could. I really do appreciate each and every single one of you. And yeah, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Unfortunately, if you are a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collector, I have a scam for you guys to be aware of. This guy right here, his name is collectors_insta, and his username, I think, is Turtle Lovers, is a scam, guys. He did not send me the 4 turtles he was supposed to send me for $400. And on top of that, he even stopped responding to me and then decided to block me. So I did get in contact with my credit card company, and they did say, okay, we're going to figure this out. And if he cannot provide proof that he sent me the shipment or the product, he will be charged and I will get my money back. So he will have to pay them back the $400. So thankfully, Capital One is a really good bank, apparently, and I just need to really be more careful from who I buy and trust on, Instagram. I've had a lot of great experiences in the community, never a single negative experience, really, in my opinion. I don't think I've ever had okay, there was one, but it wasn't even on the internet community. It was on OfferUp when I bought the first Mafex Batman, and it had the broken wire in the front. That was my only bad experience. But up until then and up until now, I've had really good, solid experiences. In fact, even just buying this, I bought this on a Mezco Facebook group through the toy page. So shout out to the toy page for connecting collectors. And here they are, no issues. He sent them out, got them here, and yeah, so I mean, like I said, positive interactions and everything, but there's always those one or two. So I just want you guys to be aware. Do not do business with this person, because they will just keep your money. So yeah, moving on from that, let's go ahead and talk about this week's toy haul, guys, because yes, we have seen these guys here before, and you're probably thinking, what? We'll get into that in a second. First, let's go ahead and talk about Sewer Surfer Mike right here. He showed up on my doorstep last Sunday, so this past week was actually unofficially Super 7 week on the channel because I had the Super 7 Sewer Samurai Leo, Krang, and Sewer Surfer Mike reviews that went up all this week. So yeah, it was technically Super 7 week, but yeah, this guy is super fun. I just love these cool little takes on the variants, the upgraded detail, the paint on this guy. I mean, the cool surfboard. I mean, obviously it's not perfect. You can check out my review for this guy and you'll see what's not perfect about him, or what is also really cool about him. But yeah, I just love how they're updating these cool little variants. I'm probably only going to get one set of the variants. It's going to be Samurai Leo, Surfer Mike, Punk Rock Donnie, and probably Space Cadet Raph. And then I am out of the Super 7 line. Well, actually, I say that, but I'm probably going to get that new Shredder they're releasing only because he looks really fucking cool. But yeah, other than that, I think I'm pretty much out of the Super 7 line, just like I'm pretty much out of the NECA cartoon line. I just wanted the 4 turtles, and then I got them again in the lighter color, which I prefer them in. So it all worked out. Got a Shredder for them. I got Foot Soldiers. I got Mousers. I really don't need anybody else for them. Now, the 1990s line, I am very much in. When they re-released the Mirage comics, I'm very much in. The Last Ronin figures, I am very much in. And yeah, we'll definitely talk about NECA again. Like I said, I appreciate and respect the sculptors and the creators of the figures. It's the management that's complete and utter shit. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the Pink Skulls right here. Because yes, we have had them here on the table before. And, well, I really wanted a set of OG Pink Skulls because, man, they just look amazing. But the other ones that I have obviously have like the more articulated heads, and they are the classic original Pink Skull heads, just the ones with the hinged jaw and the expressions. However, I just wanted a set of 3 just like this, and well, I figured why the fuck not. And shout out to the person that I actually picked this up from in the Mezco group, because he literally only charged me like $5 over retail. I paid $3.35 for this box set, and then I paid another $3.40 for this one right here. And it's like, I couldn't pass up that chance. And so I got my Pink Skulls, and I couldn't be happier that I have them here. And yeah, guys, I mean, obviously the bottom of the pants and the shoes aren't going to be the original, and that's why I said the original, but they all have the static Pink Skull faces and the hats, and obviously they have the leather jackets opposed to the bomber jackets, but it works for me. I really enjoy having just a Pink Skull group right there, and I'm super excited to do that. And I'm actually trying to make a custom Pink Skulls hangout. Oh shit, I just remembered I should have one more thing here on the table, but I totally forgot I had it. It's actually the McFarlane Toys Villains playset. I've picked that up because I'm going to turn that into a Pink Skulls hangout. So yeah, guys, I guess next week I'll have that on the table. And speaking about next week's toy haul, I actually had the chance to go pick up another hot toy today that I actually am in the talks to purchase, and I could have had him here on the table, but knowing that next week is the final official episode of Coffee and Toys, the podcast, because that's true, that's not going to be coming back. So eventually I may be able to bring the podcast back and the live back. Just won't know for sure for a while, but I will keep you guys updated on my Instagram at CoolFigurez. And so yeah, I decided to wait to go pick them up later tonight, so that way I can have them here on the table for you guys next week. But yeah, guys, so that pretty much wraps it up for this week's toy haul. So let's go ahead and talk about this week's toy news, starting off with, of course, my favorite company, Mezco Toys, because they did solicit and release another Rumble Society character, Theodore Sodcutter, for $120, guys. Now, I love you, Mezco, but why didn't you switch the release date or the release of this guy with the release of Union Gomez? I mean, that is a perfect Halloween figure that we're going to be getting in November. Mesco just missed the mark on that one in my opinion. But this set is 120 because it does come jam-packed with 4 head sculpts, a bunch of grave accessories, a bunch of hands, 3 hats, and a comic book. Now, alongside with Theodore, you were also able to pick up a separate pack of Graveyard Gremlins. Now, these little fuckers did also glow in the dark. In my opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of those kinds of figures because if they're not glowing in the dark or you're not utilizing that feature, it doesn't really show the sculpt. It's kind of hard to see, and yeah, it's just not my favorite. So I completely passed on this offering. Like I said, it's just going to be coming a little too late in November for me to even consider buying it right now, especially when I'm buying, another set of Pink Skulls and other Hot Toys and whatnot. And so, yeah, I completely passed on it, but they also did release a Gang Green Estates t-shirt with it, which I also did pass. So, good for you if you were able to get it. It is already waitlisted, and the Graveyard Gremlins actually sold out completely that day. So, yeah, like I said, I really wish they would have swapped, Union Gomez in this offering, because it would have made sense. We would have been getting this guy probably around last week or something, just in time for Halloween. You just barely missed the mark, Mesco, but I still love you. Now let's talk about somebody that I love but hate at the same time, and that is NECA Toys, because this week they opened up solicitations and open pre-orders for their Back to the Future accessory pack. So this pre-order is open until Friday, November 8th, guys. So you have up until the 8th to place your order for this. And so yeah, that's one good thing. Like I said, the sculptors create some amazing work. This accessory set just looks phenomenal. I absolutely love it. I will be picking it up, obviously. I mean, fuck. I did go to a Back to the Future meetup on the Tuesday that the movie, I think it was Tuesday, that was the 25th or something like that. There was a meetup at La Puente Hills Mall where they actually filmed the Back to the Future scene where Marty meets Doc and he discovers the time machine for the first time. It wasn't the greatest, I have to admit. Me and my friend that went ended up just sitting in my car and watching the scene in our car play out, and it was actually pretty cool because we were literally just sitting in my car right where Marty would have driven by and stuff. There was even those poles that you see him drive up against, and like we didn't even realize it, and then when we saw the scene where he turns the car and we're like, oh, he'd be driving up towards us, and we saw all the poles, we looked over and the poles were still fucking there. So I'm not gonna lie, we both nerded out a bit sitting in my car just watching the scene kind of play out around us. And but after that we kind of just went home because it was kind of a little lackluster, I have to admit. But it was a Tuesday night and everybody was trying to meet up at like almost 1:15 a.m. because that's when he meets up with Doc at the mall. So yeah, I had work the next day, so I could not stay that late. I don't know if it happened to get better after I left, but yeah, it was still cool to be there, nonetheless. With it being my favorite movie of all time, pretty much. It's pretty much tied up. No, I think it would be considered my favorite. No, I don't know. It's in my top 5 for sure, though. Oh, let's see. There's Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Episode 3, The Dark Knight, and actually just recently Temple of Doom hinged out 1990s Ninja Turtles. I realized Indiana Jones wasn't in the top 5 and I was like, how is that possible? So sorry guys, they're gonna be number 6 now. But yeah, it was really fun to be there just to see the scene play out, but then just went home and it was cool nonetheless. But yeah, so that is an open pre-order up until Friday, November 8th, guys. Now, let's talk about the best thing NECA's ever done, Auto T. You guys know I'm totally fucking with you guys because it's been more than fucking 15 business days and they have not shipped our fucking orders. We've not heard anything, but they say they're out of stock, but you can take their barcode online and still go buy more. How does that make any fucking sense? Once again, this is not directed to the sculptors or the creators of these figures, rather to the management, and in particular Randy Falk. Fuck you, Randy Falk, and fuck you, NECA management and distribution head, because you guys are the worst, just the worst, the fucking worst. I don't know how you could be the worst but employ the best. It makes absolutely no sense. But fuck them, because this whole thing's a mess. At this point, honestly, I just want my money back. I just want my fucking money back. It literally feels like the scam all over again, which honestly isn't too far off because it was about $100 for 2 figures. And yeah, we've yet to see those figures, and it's pretty much a scam, just like the other guy that took my $400 and hasn't given me shit. So, NECA, are you scamming us, or what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? I want my black and white Shredder and Foot Soldier, or I want my money back. It's that simple. Just like I told the scammer, send me my money back or send me my product. One or the other. It's, so I don't know. I guess big box companies and people that just sell on Instagram are all the same now. They're all scammers. And yeah, talking about scammers, let's talk about Hasbro because we're going to be talking about some Star Wars news, guys. They did release 3 new Black Series figures, that being Cal Kestis from the new Star Wars Fallen Order. I don't even know the rest of that, but the second game. They did also release a Return of the Jedi Deluxe Boba Fett on card back. So another Boba Fett repack for I think $40 or $45 probably, because it's all, anniversary stuff. And a Din Djarin disguise from Mandalorian Season 2. So yeah, guys, a lot of figures to get excited about. Yay! Oh, also, if you see the photos of the disguised Din Djarin, don't be fooled because it shows pinless articulation despite us knowing the truth. This is obviously just a Din Djarin head on the Biggs Mayfield body, and yeah, that one had pins. So I'm pretty sure we're getting scammed, guys. Once again, class action lawsuit. Get together, sue the shit out of Hasbro. Fuck it, take it in free toys. Fuck it. Moving on to, I guess, another Hasbro property that's starting to look more like a scam now that I think about it too, and that is well, this isn't the scam part, but I guess I'll jump to the scam part so we can talk about that and it ties in. But the newest here announced for the Ghost Rider HasLab, and that is Damien Hellstorm. I don't know who the fuck this is. You really think that's gonna get a lot of people to buy this? Because I don't know. For $350, that feels like another scam, guys. And it's not looking like it's going to back. It really isn't looking like it's going to back. So, yeah, talking about the other 2 announcements that they made, or I guess 4 announcements that they made in terms of figures, they did announce a new animated series Spider-Man VHS 2-pack with the Black Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage. 2 look great. I'm not going to lie, but I'm staying away from those figures, that line. I love Spidey, but I got my Spidey representation right here. That's all I need. And I'm actually in talks with this guy that I actually have bought Mezcos before. He said he's trying to get rid of a lot of Mezcos. And so with my new job, I'm actually going to have a higher income source. So I'm going to be able to buy more. And so I told him, I'll make you a good offer for a good majority of them that I want. And he said he's in. So he does have a few Spider-Man. So that's all I'm going to need is a few Spider-Man Mezcos and no Marvel Legend ones. They just look so much better on camera, in my opinion. The soft goods just look so much fucking better, in my opinion. So yeah, you can also get this VHS 2-pack of a plastic Spider-Man and plastic Carnage. But they did also announce 3 other Marvel Legends that were going to be coming your way very soon in the form of Wonder Man. See where the mistake lies? Yelena Belovovich, or Belova. I don't know where I got Belovovich from. I can't read for shit right now, but it's Yelena Belova. And then Baron von Strucker. So 3 very key figures and characters in the Marvel Universe. The only one I recognize personally is Yelena, and that's only because she was in Black Widow, the movie. And I recently saw that scene of her getting blown up in 4K Ultra, and that was horrendous. It literally hurt my eyes to watch that happen, knowing it happened in a Marvel movie. I had to really ask my friend, I was like, are you serious? That's not like a deleted scene or like an alternate unedited take? He's like, no, man, he rewinded it, he showed me the length of the movie and everything. I was like, what the fuck? That was talk about a low point for Marvel. I mean, no, She-Hulk compared to that looks like a fucking Picasso. Because that was just, I mean, that was just so fucking bad. Okay, let's get off that. So moving on, let's go ahead and talk about our final set of news here. Some Power Rangers, once again brought to you by Hasbro. They did announce 2 new figures in the Lightning Collection line, which I am 100% out of already. I will be looking to sell most of them very soon. But they did announce a Turbo Blue Centaurum and an In-Space Silver Cycle. So yeah, guys, super exciting news coming out of that. But with that being said, that wraps up this week's toy news, guys. Once again, thank you so much to each and every single one of you that check out this podcast, that check out the live show. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd just be a grown man talking to myself about toys. And so thank you so much. Like I said, I'm going to try and reschedule those lives at least so I can have them and have some last episodes. But unfortunately, this is the final episode of the podcast for the time being, until I'm able to work my hours differently and hopefully get some extra time off or just change my split shift and, work things around. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for an amazing 57 and 58 episodes. You guys are the best. You guys are the absolute best. I absolutely love each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And so I guess with that being said, guys, why don't we go ahead and get into this week's Coffee and Toys Live. All right, guys, welcome back to the CoolFigurez page. I'm your host, Jess the Bat Madrigal, aka the Buff Collector, and welcome to episode 33 of Coffee and Toys, where I speak to a new guest every week about toys, toy collecting, toy photography, and so much more. This week, guys, I would like to welcome guest Diorama Prince. Small, kind of like a small company, but a growing small company in the world of diorama prints and whatnot. You guys are moving on to wave 6 at this point, so I'm happy to have you on here. We're going to talk all about that and so much more. Welcome so much to the channel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, yeah, thank you for coming on. I've been, really excited to talk to you. I've been seeing you grow since I actually started into like the community and everything. When I first came into it, I saw you kind of pop up here and there, and as the years have gone by, you've been popping up on more and more people's feeds, more people's pictures and stuff. So this was really exciting. So how have you been? How's your week been so far?
Good. I heard you mention it's already been a long week for you. I feel a little bit of the same. We're cranking out wave 5. That's shipping now. We're getting ready for wave 6. So it's only Wednesday, but I'm looking forward to Friday.
Oh, I know what you mean. It's pretty much been my week too, just working. So yeah, it's nice to be able to just come here and, chill and talk to somebody in the community that's, like-minded, doing something for the community in a sense. Obviously it's a business for yourself, but in a way you're also helping people like me that have absolutely no creative ability to put up dioramas and allow us to immerse our figures in these amazing little worlds that we can and take amazing photos through them. So let's go ahead and get to the bottom of it. What got you into collecting?
I would say I've been just a casual collector. So obviously in childhood, I loved action figures, and then you grow up, or at least I stopped using them, playing with them. I would have stuff here and there. And then when the pandemic hit, I started collecting more actively, just as another creative outlet through toy photography. And then that's also how diorama prints was birthed from, during that time. But yeah, I definitely went from a casual collector to collecting more often now, but I'm still pretty casual, I would say. Especially when I compare myself with other people's collections and devotion, and I'm not quite there, but I definitely have my favorite toy lines.
Nice. So do you see that, or do you find that some of the toy lines that you really are collecting nowadays are ones that you carried over from your younger years, from when you were younger, or do you find yourself kind of leaning towards more newer franchises, newer lines?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I was younger, I loved G.I. Joes and Transformers, and as an adult, I don't really like that at all. I have a little bit of like the Baroness and stuff like that. But I would say it's interesting because with toy photography, I take a lot of pictures of Batman and stuff like that. But what I enjoy collecting is more of the Marvel side of it, but I really enjoy Marvel Legends. I enjoy NECA, and Mezco are probably my top three favorites. So those weren't around when I was growing up. But it is interesting how your taste can change over time. I know a lot of people still have their childhood action figures, which is great. I still have one Optimus Prime, like rubbery transformer, and I don't even know where I got it from, like maybe an airport or like a gas station, who knows. But
Hmm.
other than that, it's completely different as an adult now. But I love it, and I love all the different toy lines that have come out, and some that just hit back to that nostalgia. Whether it's pop culture stuff or NECA's like the Goonies, things like that. I love all of that.
Nice, nice. So, have you found that it's somewhat of a unique perspective being a female in this community and stuff? Because, a lot of girls growing up, they don't really collect toys, especially as they get older. I mean, as it is, a lot of guys, as they get older, they don't really collect toys. It's besides this niche community, it seems like a lot bigger here on Instagram because we're all gathered in one spot. But when you look at it, we're really a niche community, and, it's not, it's even smaller for the female demographic. I'm trying to get at, you know what I mean? So,
Oh, absolutely.
what
Yeah.
what was it about collecting that kind of drew you to collecting and stuff, being a female?
Yeah, I mean, I would start with childhood. I have older siblings, but they're old enough where I almost feel like I was an only child. So, in other words, I had to use my imagination a lot because there wasn't anyone around to play with. And I remember creating these elaborate scenes with my action figures. I absolutely hated Barbies. I'd have friends bring them over, and I'm like, get that crap out of here. Because I felt like the storyline was so set. They have their little Malibu house, and Ken has to come there, and there wasn't a lot of room for interpretation or new stories.
Hmm.
And so as an adult, I'm in the creative field anyway, and it's kind of fun to tell stories. I love movies. I'm a big movie buff versus watching television shows.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of that passion or creativity is just kind of carried over into that. I will say the toy community has been, especially the toy photography community, completely welcoming to really anyone. It's one of the most supportive communities I've been part of, which is really great. But it is assumed I am a man most times. So it's kind of nice to tell guys, hey, I'm not a bro, I'm a sis, with like a little fist bump. And everyone seems, receptive to it. Talking about it with friends and stuff, even just discussing dioramas, there's a learning curve. You either know about it or you don't. So if people played with
Hmm.
action figures when they were younger, it's much easier to kind of explain collecting in general, and even dioramas, and why people would want to spend time doing toy photography.
Hmm.
But it's fun telling people about it, educating people about it. And there's definitely a growing segment, I think, where it's becoming more acceptable for women to do it, or they're more comfortable admitting it, and
Hmm.
coming out of the closet about it. So,
No, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, in terms of like being accepted and everything. I'm sure, like you said, we're going to be very receptive and very
oh,
open and stuff
absolutely.
to it,
Yeah.
So I think it's more of the stigma of like, well, those are boys' toys, maybe a
Hmm.
grown, as it is, some men are kind of looked at kind of like, well, you're playing with toys as a grown adult, so it's going to be that
Yeah.
much more harsher on a female in a sense because it's like, well, you should have never even been into those, and now you're into them as an adult. So but it's 2022. I feel like we can break all those stigmas at this point, and
Absolutely.
it's like I said, it's 2022. We're all stressed. Everything's crazy in this world. I think we all, no matter what it is, need some kind of hobby to get us away from everything, take us out of this actual world, and put us into hell, an imaginary world where we can play with Batman, where we can play with Star Wars toys, with Marvel Legends, and become those heroes, and just have fun and not think about too much for too long, and kind of just take a break, especially on your days off and whatnot. And it kind of it brings back those nostalgia feelings as a kid. You feel like a kid, playing with them. There's plenty of times where I'm setting up a toy photography shot, and I'm like, I'm 25 years old playing with toys right now, like, and then it just kind of goes by, and I'm like, fuck it, let's keep going and let's keep having fun. And next, it's like 3 hours later, and you're still working on that same shot, trying to perfect it, trying to tweak it, and all this stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure like as time goes on now, it seems like more and more females are entering, at least the even more so like the Instagram, in terms of like toy photography, like starting their own toy photography pages and whatnot like that. So
Hmm.
that's really exciting, to see some different perspectives and whatnot.
Absolutely. Yep.
So what are some of your favorite lines do you collect now? You say Marvel
Yeah,
Legends.
yeah, the ones that I mentioned, Marvel Legends, NECA, and Mezco are definitely my top three. Obviously, I have a little bit of each, but those
Hmm.
are the ones where I have more complete lines. As I've discussed on other shows, I have a special love for Mezco. I just absolutely love their soft goods. I like their Rumble Society figures, their unique IP. I
Hmm.
just like them a lot. But I love NECA too. So they have, like I said, the Goonies, their horror figures, Halloween. Just they offer a great variety. Obviously the turtles. Trying to think what else. I just picked up Jaws. I picked up Hopper. Is it Hopper or Hooper from Jaws?
Hmm.
So I definitely like their different characters. And again, I have other stuff from different lines, but if you looked at my collection, it's heavily those top three.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on Mezco. I mean, I found one figure, really liked it, and next thing you know, I'm buying every single figure that they release, every single Rumble Society figure,
I
and yeah,
know.
that's definitely a black hole right there.
It's a slippery slope. I know. It's
Yeah.
terrible, but I
Yeah,
enjoy it. Yep.
exactly. Oh yeah, especially like you said, the Rumble Society. One thing that I love about it is how one unique it is, and two how open and versatile it is. It doesn't have an attached story. It does and it doesn't. It's really up to you to create your own story, and you can make your own story with them. It's not like you're playing with Darth Vader and he has to be in space and he has to do this because
Exactly.
he's this and this and this is tied to him. With Gomez, the Black Skulls, Doc Knock, you can literally put them in any kind of situation, and everyone's just gonna be like, that works because they really
Exactly.
don't have a
Yep.
set place. And so I'm sure you have a lot of fun with that, especially with your company and stuff, having multiple sceneries and dioramas to play from and choose from, sticking them in all sorts of fun, different situations. So yeah, I
Exactly.
can definitely see how you enjoy that line. And yeah, NECA, I have to give credit to their sculptors, to their creators, because they do amazing jobs and everything. Their management, on
Hmm.
the other hand, is somewhere else, something else. But I give credit where credit's due. I do like their products. I do love their products. I just don't like their management. I don't like their distribution, perspective and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, yeah. If we're just talking about action figures themselves, that's what I like. We can
Yeah.
talk about our grievances really of any toy line for
Oh yeah.
whether it's shipping or release dates being pushed out, but when it comes to the product itself, I do enjoy it.
No, yeah, definitely. Those two are definitely my favorite too. NECA and Mesco. Those are definitely where I see myself spending more of my money than anywhere else, especially nowadays where toy prices are just outrageous. You're really having to
Mm-hmm.
pick and choose when you go to the stores. There's no more of those days where it's like, oh, that figure looks cool. I like that accessory that comes with the figure. I'm just going to pick it up. Now
Yeah,
it's like, well, okay, do I really need that accessory? Do I really need that figure? Am I really going to use it? It's going to add to my collection, or am I just buying it just to buy it? You know what I mean?
absolutely. It'll be interesting to see what happens with prices. It feels like McFarlane has kind of absorbed some of the costs and they're not passing it on to the consumer, where for Marvel Legends or the like, things are slowly starting to go up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And if they make some changes to their pricing or what they ultimately give to customers if the sales are going down.
No, yeah, definitely. The big question is going into 2023 is, are we going to get priced out of these
Mm-hmm.
collectibles? I mean, for me personally, I've already decided I've been priced out of the budget collectibles, and I'd rather just save up my money and put it towards a Mesco or a Hot Toy because you get a little more quality, a lot more accessories, and yeah, you maybe only pick up one or two, but that's really all you need versus these budget figures where, like you said, Marvel Legends, a single figure is almost like $35 at this point. And
Mm-hmm.
McFarlane, yeah, they're 20, but I heard he is going to be raising his prices to 22 next year. So, I mean, that's a slight increase, nowhere near Marvel Legends. I think they had literally 3 to 4 price hikes just in this year alone. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. And then you have Hasbro going and bragging that they're going to raise profit by 50% next year. It's like you're just
Yeah,
adding
I know.
salt to the wound right there. It's
Yeah,
just not helping you.
it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. So, luckily, Mezco seems pretty. Um, they released their figure today, so that price was a little bit higher than maybe normal.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been too much higher, so it'll just be interesting to see across the board what the different toy manufacturers do.
Yeah, I think for their last maybe 3 or 4 Rumble Society releases, they've been about $95, if I'm not mistaken. I think the last
Yeah.
Gomez was 95. Then the Atticus Doom was 95, I believe, or maybe it was 112 because it came with the booklet and everything. But yeah, I believe like the oh no, I'm thinking of the Murder Hornet that they had released. That one was 95 as well.
Yeah, Gomez was
So
$100, so it's only at, $5 than normal, but it'll be interesting to see. $5 isn't a big deal, but at this point, but we'll see.
oh yeah, definitely. So okay, so what made you jump from, okay, I like collecting, I'm getting back into collecting to I want to start a business about toys and collecting in some aspect of it? What made you decide on dioramas versus, say, like 3D printing accessories or doing soft goods for other people?
Yeah, it's something I thought about for a while. I had the benefit that I've already started other businesses. I've been self-employed for about a decade. And I've always wanted to sell something. Right now, I sell a service like website design, for instance, which is very different. And
Hmm.
I really wanted, long before dioramas, just a product to sell. So you either like the product or you don't like the product. And it's as simple as that. And I had a client who came out with a kids' play set, and toy photographers ended up really liking it. And
Hmm.
with working with them, I just thought of so many different scenes that would be really cool. And the pandemic inspired me to just go ahead, bite the bullet, and do it. Why not? People were home, they needed other stuff to use. And I really find diorama prints as a great in between like a home printable diorama or a more extensive cardboard diorama. And there wasn't
Hmm.
really another company that filling that in between role as far as price point. It's easy to store, it's relatively easy to set up. And so that's how it all started. I just jumped into it. And yeah, and I guess the rest is history. So that was summer of 2020, June 2020.
Also, wow, you guys are a really relatively new company for at least this aspect.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Well, that's great to see that you guys are already on wave six and seeing a lot of, photos being taken with your dioramas and stuff. And just like I said, in 2 years, I kind of got into the game around 2020, toy photography and all that stuff. And yeah, it would pop up here and there. But now as, 22's pretty much come and gone, you're seeing a lot more, a lot more people are tagging you, a lot more people are using your stuff. Was it that simplicity of being able to store it and being that in between that made you decide on going with a print version versus any kind of like 3D accessories or 3D pop-up points or anything like that?
Yeah, I just know, so I'm very aware of the manufacturing side. And so just to kind of set the stage of my thinking at that time is that manufacturing was shutting down. So whether or not it was happening in another country or it was manufacturing here, just there was so many things kind of happening, products weren't getting out. And so I wanted something super simple that didn't have too much obstruction, despite if there's a pandemic, what's happening with the economy, this or that, that something that I could get to customers relatively easy. And so that's where I came up with it for that purpose, just something that was really great quality. My designer or our designer is just absolutely excellent. And I think most customers have seen, the attention to detail that goes into that.
Hmm.
And so that was just basically the thinking behind it.
Nice, nice. And I guess this was kind of forward thinking without forward thinking because we're looking at 2023 now. Once again, FedEx and UPS announced that they're going to be raising their rates about 6.8% next year.
Hmm.
Do you find that the way you designed your product, it's a lot easier and cheaper to ship to your customers as well versus, say, like a giant cardboard diorama?
Yeah, no.
No?
So shipping, because each of our panels are 11 by 17, and so the
Oh.
packaging has to be a little bit bigger than that.
Hmm.
So most of our packaging is about 18 by 13 or 18 by 12. And because of that, shipping can be very expensive, especially shipping from the Southwest to the East Coast. And in the
Hmm.
beginning, we absorbed some of that cost a little bit just to get it out. Now we have a tier, it's free shipping if you spend over 75 bucks. I wish shipping could be more cost effective. Unfortunately, prices are just going up across the board. Even card stock is going up. Speaking of why I didn't necessarily want to get into manufacturing, um, the one of the reasons was just because people couldn't get their product. But with cardstock, they actually had a shortage of that, which is what
Mm.
it's printed on, like a premium cardstock, but there was a shortage of that maybe 3 months ago. So it's just kind of interesting the different things that can happen. But overall, knock on wood, it's pretty easy to get it to the customer. I hope at some point we can get it to a shipping volume where that'll bring some of the shipping costs down, which of course I would pass on the savings to the customer. But at this point, just because by the sheer size of it and the dimensions of what it needs to ship in, it's not as cheap as people might think it is.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, like you said, shipping costs are going up everywhere. If you look anywhere and order anything, yeah, I personally ordered something yesterday. I paid $400, and the guy replied to me today. He's like, "Hey, they want $75 for shipping. So before I ship this out, I'm gonna need that." And I was just like, "Well, fuck."
Yeah, yeah. Was it
You know,
was it heavy? Was it heavy and big for?
yeah, it's a set of Fort Mondo 1/6 turtles, so they're pretty sizable.
Okay,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. I know shipping's expensive. It just is. So, and I don't think there's a way around that at this point. It is what it is
Yeah,
with
yeah, it really
fuel
isn't.
costs and everything else that goes into it.
No, yeah, I mean, looking at everything, even I don't remember if you said you're in LA or where you're at in the world, but here in LA, yeah, stuff's just getting crazy expensive. I mean, just gas, food alone is, outrageous.
Yeah, I'm out in Arizona and Phoenix, so we're not as bad as California as far as prices. But I was there a couple weekends ago in Orange County, and I forgot having just a drink was $20. So that was a rude awakening. But being right on the ocean somehow helps you forget that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can totally agree with that. So, when you first came out with your product, what was the initial reaction? How did you first try marketing it to the community? Did you reach out to already established toy photographers and partner with them, or how did it come about at the start?
Yeah, I reached out to some people I already knew, asked them if they'd like to check it out. Of course, I wanted their feedback about it and for them to take pictures. And I mean, truly, from kind of the moment it started, everyone's enthusiasm was very, very high. The support has been phenomenal. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of pushback across the board. I received really great feedback since the beginning of it. And so I feel really lucky for that. And I think some of that's just attributed to that it's just a good product at the end of the day.
No, yeah, definitely. Like I said, I personally have like absolutely no creative artistic ability. I can't even draw a stick figure. It looks all wonky and weird. So when I first started getting into toy photography, the biggest challenge for me was finding dioramas and sets to put my figures in. I started much like most people that started in this kind of community and just shooting outside, just going
Mm-hmm.
into your backyard, using as much as you can to shoot. And obviously looking back at them, they're not the best pictures, but when you're in the moment, you're having fun, you're like, oh, this is cool and whatnot. But then eventually you kind of just gradually get better and better and you kind of want more and more. And like I said, I personally have no artistic ability, so I wasn't able to build any kind of dioramas or anything. So then I started looking at pre-made ones and ones from customizers, and you're looking at hundreds of dollars plus shipping costs, plus storing costs. And then there's people and companies like yours that already are producing these pre-made dioramas that are not only just made for certain characters, but for a lot of different characters as well. So, what was your thought process when you approached the first wave?
Yeah, the first wave, I wanted a little bit of everything and I wanted something different. So one of my still favorite dioramas is the Vegas motel room. And I just told the designer, because anytime you're in Vegas, they have like the little cards to go see girls and whatever. And I was like, I just
Hmm.
want those strewn across the floor. Like this is a seedy motel room. And I just wanted something different, and people were really receptive to that. And there's
Hmm.
so many different types of stories you can create with it. Did the castle, we did like a padded cell, a space one, I think was in wave one. But again, it was just to come up with a little bit of everything. And then we came out with wave two pretty quickly thereafter, and that had 10 dioramas just to really round out the rest of the scenes. But the goal
Mm-hmm.
is to always, of course, some things are made for specific characters like our sewer layer or the cave headquarters, but it's super cool to see people use it in other ways. And I try to, that's kind of my goal for all of the different scenes, that it can have multiple uses for multiple different types of characters.
No, yeah, definitely. And like you said, you can tell when it's like, the sewer, the Batcave, and it's meant for something else, but they're using it for other things and it works. And that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like the fine line you have to kind of walk in a sense, also as not being officially licensed. Am I right? Like that way you can say, well, it's not
Yep.
technically the Batcave, it's not technically the sewer, because look, they're using Daredevil in it, or they're using X, Y, and Z on it and stuff like that. So that's kind of like a good way to get around all that as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, obviously, if we could do a licensed version, that would be pretty cool. But is it worth doing that at this point? Not really. And people seem to like kind of the generic um, different scenes again, just because there's so many different things you can do with it. And
Hmm.
people's creativity. I mean, one person used the cave headquarters for like a Jurassic Park scene, and it looked absolutely amazing. So there's just people's creativity is, they're going to create whatever they want to, and it all looks great.
No, yeah, definitely. So after you pumped out the first two waves and kind of rounded out the main kind of scenarios and dioramas for toys and stuff, was there ones that were going to come into the next wave that you really wanted to do that you yourself were pretty passionate about bringing to the community?
I was pretty passionate about bringing all of them. So all of them, quite a bit of thought goes into it, and then my designer does an amazing job of interpreting my creative briefs into a great design. Yeah, I can't. It's like picking a favorite child. I love all of them for different reasons, and
Hmm.
I was just happy to bring all of them. So wave five that is now in stock and shipping, and then wave six we're gonna come out with soon. Again, those are just to continue to round out our offering, and off and also have something that's kind of unique and maybe different and not already offered as well.
Nice, nice.
If that
So,
answers your question.
no, yeah, definitely. What are some of the more unique ones that you have come up with that you don't really see anywhere else being created?
Yeah, the we have a Thailand scene, we have a cathedral scene, we have a Mars space pod, we have an underground bunker. So created a lot of different things. And again, I see people use almost every single toy line for all of those scenes.
Hmm.
So, which is really, really cool to see. But, the sewer has been done, of course, and caves and things like that. But again, I did want to offer that to people just to have an easy diorama to set up. Our dioramas can store flat, even if you attach them to foam board. So I still wanted to include ones that have been done, and just do
Hmm.
our spin on it.
Nice, nice. So now that you're approaching, I guess, wave seven in terms of like what you're going to be working on next, since you've pretty much already solidified wave six and it's going to be ready to go and pre-orders and all that, do you find it a little more difficult having to think up of new dioramas for the next coming wave, or are you just chock full of a lot of ideas that you're just like, I'm ready for the next 4 or 5 waves to come out already?
Have a pretty long list of ideas. So I think after about three waves, that's when I'll start kind of scratching my head. Of course, I do. Customers always reach out with their suggestions. That's always nice to hear. And I do periodically reach out to people just to see what they think. If there's something I haven't thought of that maybe we can include in a future wave, but I definitely have a list of stuff. And as I mentioned before, I'm a huge movie person. So a lot of times
Hmm.
I'm inspired by something I saw in a movie, or even just a toy line. So, yeah, so about three more waves of ideas, and then I might be on this show saying I'm out of ideas and ask people to send me, what they think.
Well, I'm sure you'll get plenty of suggestions. The toy community is always coming up with new and great ideas for stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, have you only done 1/12 scale so far with your dioramas? That's pretty much what you guys stick to, right?
Yeah, I'm doing that because I would like to do 118 eventually. I just don't know if there's that big of an audience for it. Only a handful of people have ever reached out about it. which doesn't mean that there's not an audience for it, but it seems 112 is kind of the main bread and butter. Obviously, there's 1/6, but to start shipping it at a huge scale like that, and have it flat isn't really feasible. So at this point, it's 112. With that said, there's a lot of people who do use it for smaller action figures. A lot of people use it for their Funko Pops, and do a little forced perspective and different
Mm-hmm.
techniques, to make it look like it is 1/18 scale, which is pretty cool. But at this point, sticking to the 112, after starting, I think it was in wave two, we started kind of doing a hybrid between 112 scale and 110, just to kind of offer a happy medium since so many figures are kind of a little bit closer to 7 inches,
Mm-hmm.
like McFarlane and things like that. So I wanted just to be sure to have a good offering for action figures in that realm.
Nice, nice. So, it seems like you put a lot of thought into these other avenues and stuff that you can explore with your company and stuff already. Because I was going to ask you, have you decided to think about going into 1/6 scale? But you said it doesn't seem feasible to be shipping that and whatnot just yet.
Yeah, I have talked about it, especially with the company that does the prints for me, and there's different ways to possibly ship it. Like do something that's kind of rolled up. It'd still be thick, but still kind of working out the details of it. And I don't see that as an immediate thing. I envision doing 1/18 before that, but we'll see. So you never know.
Well, I will say there's 1/18 scale dioramas around. I don't really
Mm-hmm.
know of too many 1/6 scale ones. So, I mean, that may be a market that's untapped that you can pretty much just go into and most likely dominate. So, I'd do
Absolutely.
the
But there
research
might
and
be
look
a
into that.
reason that it's untapped. but but I agree with you.
Um, I mean, personally, for me, I personally don't enjoy 1/6 toy photography as much as I do 1/12,
Hmm.
mainly for the fact that I don't have dioramas for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I had dioramas, I feel like I'd have more fun. I have to use my TV screen, having to find a digital background that works, and then using, like you said, forced perspective, trying to size it up and do all this stuff, messing with the lighting. Me personally, I think I would have a lot more fun with 1/6 toy photography if I just had a straight diorama made out of a print and, like just put it up, and that would just be a lot easier. But as you said, maybe there is another reason why people don't really do it. I don't know. I don't really know because they have great detailing, but maybe the articulation isn't the best in a lot of Hot Toys at some points. But I do see a few people on Instagram doing some amazing Hot Toy photography, but a lot of the time
Hmm.
it is up close. It is, very up close
Yeah.
and personal, and like the background's very blurred, so it seems like they don't really need a background. But I feel like there could be a few that would have fun with it. Maybe you just test it out, send a few prints to a few, 1/6 toy photographers and whatnot, and see what they can do about it. See if there's even any interest in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And even you were saying with the blurred background, even with 112 photography or any size photography, the focus is always the action figure and what story that is. And so the
Hmm.
diorama is just there to kind of supplement and help propel that story or be a cool background for it.
No, yeah, definitely, definitely. So do you yourself? You said yourself does toy photography. Do you still do that?
Say that one more time. Sorry, it cut out.
You said that before you were doing toy photography, and that's kind of what got you the idea of wanting to do dioramas and all that stuff. Do you still find yourself doing a lot of toy photography, or are you just more into the business now?
Um, no, I still do toy photography. So it was a great creative outlet during the pandemic. And now I just have less time to do it because, yeah, and I think that's the case with a lot of people.
Hmm.
Obviously, running a couple businesses even shortens my time, but I do truly enjoy it. You mentioned earlier that you would spend hours like setting up a shot and stuff, and I have no
Hmm.
patience for that. I give, whatever I can accomplish in an hour or less, including sending myself the photo, is my style for that. But even with that said, yeah, I still really enjoy it. Am I doing it as much as I was? No. But it's still something that's fun, and I have another list of ideas for photos and that I'll take eventually one day.
Trust me, I know about that. I have plenty of post-it notes with lists of photo ideas. I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
one day. one
Yeah,
day.
I'm like, this will be amazing when I actually do it. So and spend time doing it.
Exactly, exactly. I totally understand that. But yeah, it wasn't right away that I would worked up to like working on a single shot for hours on end. That actually kind of came recently where I wanted to get a little bit better with my photography, so
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
decided to spend a little more time on it because before, yeah, I'm not a very patient person at all. And so I was much like you. I would just, shoot, 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 and it's like, okay, done. Whatever happens gets done. Whatever gets done gets done. But now in my review pics, I kind of just shoot them pretty rapidly and get those done and out of the way. But then I have a separate Instagram account where I post like more thought out, planned out, more edited pics, and I just take a little more time on them now. And I find that taking a little more time, I've really learned a lot more about lighting and positioning and all this fun stuff because
absolutely. Yeah.
before I would just take one shot and I was like, okay, that's it, that's the shot. Now I'm taking a shot, I'm turning off a light, I'm turning on a light, I'm changing the light color, changing the dimness and everything, taking multiple shots and then seeing like, okay, which one works best. And that's really where like the hours come from. You take one shot, okay, I don't like this, I need to tweak this so that way you can see this in the background. And then if you're
Hmm.
balancing figures, one knocks over and you have to rebalance them. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No judgments about the spending a lot of time on the craft. I just don't have the patience for it, and I wish I did because I see people post these amazing photos that look like they're stills out of a movie.
Hmm.
And maybe one day I'll get there and
Yeah, I'm
practice. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm still not even there 100% either because I don't even know how to use Photoshop. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, some people, I mean, some people heavily use Photoshop, and some are all just real stuff, and they're using lighters for the fire flame effect, and it's just really cool what people come up with.
no, yeah, definitely. People's creativity is pretty wild when it comes to toys, especially when you look at people like Sir Dork and Jason D. Michael
Yep.
and just some of these great toy photographers, just what comes out of their minds is insane and incredible. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, I have the same figure and I would have never thought to do that with it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's always cool to see what people come up with. It's great.
No, yeah, definitely. So, since you kind of are part of that in a sense, you create these dioramas for these creators to create with. Do you really enjoy seeing them use your product each and every time? And just do you get like a sense of joy out of it? Something like kind of like satisfaction when you see someone take a really cool pic and then you realize like, oh wait, that's my product right there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very cool and fulfilling feeling to create something kind of from nothing, just a random idea, and to see people use it and not only use it, but be super enthusiastic about it and supportive and they love it. It's a very, very cool feeling. It's great.
Amazing, amazing. So you recently said that you guys are going to be getting ready to ship out Wave 5, correct?
We're shipping out Wave 5 now. We just shipped out all of the pre-orders a day or two ago. And so that's in stock and shipping. And then we have Wave 6 that's going to drop December 1st. And we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're not doing pre-orders. We're just going to have limited quantities that people can snatch up before Christmas. And then I assume that those will sell out, and then we'll do a pre-order, and the rest of the people can get shipments in like February.
Oh, nice, nice. So you guys
Hmm.
are really thinking this through, getting ready for the holiday season, right?
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. So, run me through Wave 5 first. What comes in Wave 5? What is part of what scenes did you choose and come up with for Wave 5?
Yeah, so we did Temple Ruins, which coincidentally Indiana Jones is coming out, which was
Mm-hmm.
just a great coincidence. But I wanted something fun. I like adventure, anything like that. Uh, we came out with the space dock, so another space scene for those enthusiasts. We came out with a dungeon, and then we did our first double-sided diorama and outdoor scene, which is the forest diorama. So one
Oh,
side is
nice.
daytime and one side is nighttime. And so far the feedback has been great about it. So that was a cool one to come out with. I don't know if we'll do too many double-sided scenes just for how people set up their dioramas, but in this instance it made sense to do that. And then the last scene that we have is also the junkyard. So again, just building upon, like we already had a castle scene, but now we have a dungeon that can go with it. So just continuing to build upon some things that we already have.
Nice, nice. So, is it difficult for you to decide which ones you want to add to this coming wave versus which ones you want to leave out for the next wave? Like you said, it's kind of like picking your favorite child. So, what's your
Yeah.
thought process when it comes to picking the next set of backgrounds for that next wave?
Um, yeah, it is challenging, especially with Wave 6. I was actually on the fence with three different designs, whether to have it come out now or later. So ultimately, a few of them are going to come out later. Um, but it's a combination of what action figures already exist, what's coming out, and then what's a unique offering that people could enjoy now for whatever action figure they might already have. And so that's the reasoning behind the offerings in most cases.
In most cases, sometimes it's just the ones you like, right?
Sometimes.
So, out of wave five, which one's your, I know it's once again picking your favorite child, but which one's your favorite one? Which one came out really astonishing to you that when you saw it in person, you were just like, wow, this came out way better than I could have imagined?
Uh yeah, it's so hard to pick a favorite child. I really like Space Dock. That one came out perfect in my eyes. But again, I like them all for different reasons. I haven't had a chance to take any photos using them actually,
Mm,
yet, but I do have them in hand. So when I saw Space Dock, I just that was
got
a
a bunch of
favorite.
ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And our space one that we have coming out in Wave 6, I think that's going to be a big customer favorite. It looks awesome. And so I can't wait. I know I'm biased, but I can't wait for everyone to see it and get customer feedback about it. But yeah, I'm excited for this upcoming wave as well. I think it'll be good.
Well, why don't we stick on the topic of this upcoming wave
Sure.
and kind of tease it a bit and kind of preview a bit. And so, what exactly comes in wave six? I've seen the turtle layer. I've noticed that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I won't get into the names yet, but yeah, so I did tease some stuff in our stories. I kind of drop things in random areas, whether it's the newsletter, stories, keep people on their toes. But I will mention about the newsletter. We always offer great deals and kind of first previews there. So if you're not already
Hmm.
signed up, you definitely should, especially before Wave 6. We always send an alert there first before we post anything to social.
Hmm.
Um, but um, yeah, the turtle layer. Sorry, I'm thinking of what we're coming out with. The turtle layer. We have the space scene, which I think is going to be super super cool. We have a couple different city scenes, and then we have one that's definitely for the wrestling fans. It's the and I can say that it's the backstage because it says backstage in the image. Um, and yeah, I believe that's it. Yeah, so that's five.
Nice, nice. So, what constitutes how many you're going to put in each wave? Because you said in wave two you had what, 10?
Yeah, that was to just kind of catch up and have more. So we were a new company. We just came out with five. I think having more
Mm,
options rather than less options, it's just better to have more things for customers to choose from.
hmm.
And that worked out. So in most waves, I think we'll just have five, 5 to 7. Some of, I think it was wave four, 3 or 4, we had some of our larger dioramas, and then we only came out with 3 or 4 designs.
Hmm.
So it kind of depends on the size of it. When it's the smaller ones, it's definitely always going to be around five. I think it's just a good number. It's not overwhelming to people. And then in most instances, they're able to pick up all five.
Nice, nice. Definitely
Yeah,
good when you think about the customer and their wallet and everything like that.
I do because I'm a customer too. So
Yeah, I think the toy companies nowadays kind of lose that a bit, that whole being a customer aspect of it. And yeah, I know they have to make a profit and everything, but at the same time, when you price out your own collectors and your own fans, who's going to be left to give you that profit?
absolutely. And there is a benefit to being a smaller company for sure. I think you can have a much more authentic relationship with your customer base, and you also don't have shareholders and corporate and other people. It sounds terrible, but pencil pushers that are like things should be this way. So there is a benefit to being a smaller company in that respect, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Pros and cons to everything in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So is it just you and your designer as of right now working with this?
We're a team of about four. So I've had several designers, but I have my main guy who's done about 90% of it. And
Hmm.
then I have our print place. I have some help with answering emails, doing like administrative stuff as well. And I
Hmm.
hope to keep growing, and it would be great if this became kind of my full-time venture. That's the
Nice,
goal, at least.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely. You always want your passion project to become, the thing that you do every day because then it feels like you're not working, right?
Absolutely. And it's fun. It's every day is different. And it's always cool to see what people come up with. So that adds to the excitement and fun of it. And yeah, it would be cool to get diorama prints everywhere.
No, yeah, definitely. Like I said, from the first year I started going into the toy community, looking into Instagram and everything, seeing it here and there. Now I'm seeing it a lot more often and whatnot. I think along with people not having time to shoot so much, they don't have enough time to build as well. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I feel like now they're turning more towards diorama prints and just stick in the background and give their characters somewhere to be in, opposed to having to spend a weekend or two building out a diorama, painting it, doing all this other stuff because now everybody's getting back to work, everybody's getting back to their life. And so we still have this hobby we love, but we just don't have as much time to spend with it.
Absolutely. And I love people's custom dioramas, but I have a couple that I commission from people, but those take up so much space.
Hmm.
And like I mentioned earlier, kind of every diorama has pros and cons to it for whatever reason. But what I like about our dioramas is whether you're just a novice or starting out photographer or you're really experienced, it seems wherever you fall within there, people enjoy using them and use them in their different creative ways, which is really cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Along with like expanding into other scales and stuff, do you eventually see yourself expanding to different materials for your dioramas and stuff, or do you want to strictly stick with prints?
I'll, yeah, I don't want to say either way because I don't know about the future. I definitely have thought of upping the ante as far as manufacturing and doing different materials such as cardboard and so forth. But that would be if and when it becomes kind of a full-fledged business in the sense that maybe we can offer different types of things. So we'll still have the print line, and then we can have maybe more of a 3D pop-up type diorama.
Nice, nice. So it sounds like you have plans for this little company of yours.
Yeah, yeah, I'll always have plans for it. We'll see. It's kind of one of those things. Sometimes if something's working, you don't necessarily want to fix it. But
Hmm.
I'm always looking for ways to grow, to reach more people, and ultimately offer a product that people like and enjoy.
Well, I can definitely tell you that a lot of people in this community are liking it and enjoying it because I see it a lot of times on my news feed and they
Awesome.
make it look great. And yeah, you do some amazing work. Your backgrounds look great. I love that you're coming in at a cost effective, kind of standpoint and stuff, thinking about the customers, thinking about their wallets because as it is, we're already spending all this money on the figures themselves, having to spend another chunk of change on a whole diorama, whether it's commission, cardboard, it's going to cost anywhere from like 50 and up, especially if
Yep.
it's commission, it's definitely going to be like in the hundreds, because that's somebody's time and effort that they're really putting into and
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a quick and easy way to put up something for your figures to stand in front of. And the way they're detailed, and like you said, the way your creator creates these things and kind of brings them to fruition, they do look amazing and stuff. So, really
Thank
excited
you.
for you. Really excited to see what's coming after Wave 6 and then what at this point 2023 2022 is already over, right?
I know it sounds weird to hear that and say that. Yeah, I know. It's almost a new year.
No, yeah, it's funny because I was talking to somebody yesterday and I was telling him, oh, yeah, 2 years ago. And then I was like, wait, it had to been longer than 2 years ago because 2 years ago was 2020. And it's like, man, it's crazy how fast these last 2 years went by. But
Oh,
yeah, it seems like
absolutely.
a lot of
Yeah.
people jumped into the community at that time and they've stuck
Hmm.
around to it. It seems like a lot of people are not only creating, accessories for it, but like you, dioramas and whatnot. So yeah, super fun and excited. And I'm excited to see where you guys are going to go from here. It's excited to see what you guys are going to do next after Wave 6 in 2023 and beyond.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, I hope everyone will stay tuned to see and again, sign up for our newsletter. Check out dioramaprints.com. We always offer a great bundle option where dioramas start at under 20 bucks each, and it's free shipping. So people should check that out. You can mix and match most of the dioramas as well if you don't like the preset bundle options. So people should check us out if they haven't already.
Well, definitely. So definitely check out dioramaprints.com and follow her over on Diorama Prints here on Instagram if you guys haven't already. And you said Wave 6 will be dropping December 1st.
Yep.
So no pre-orders, guys, just a drop. Be ready for that if you're interested. You're going to get some fun stuff, new space, new turtle sewer, and a few other extra stuff that you just have to wait to see. So thank you so much for coming on to my show. I really do appreciate you giving me some of your busy time, especially being a small business owner of multiple businesses. It's not easy having time after running just a single one, let alone multiple ones. So I appreciate you coming on the show. Like I said, you do some amazing work. The community is definitely responding to it very well. They're using your product at a great capacity. Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to what you guys have to offer in 2023. And yeah, great work on everything that you do.
Well, I appreciate you having me. And I'm happy to come on after we launch Wave 6 or maybe in the new year when we have some more stuff going on.
Definitely. I'm always looking for new guests to come on and also reoccurring guests that have been on before. It's always great to talk to people that have been on the show. The first show is always kind of just trying to get to know each other. The second time around, we have a little more fun. It's a little more of a chill conversation. We already know each other. And so we can definitely have a better conversation in terms of not having to be like, well, interviewee and interviewer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to that.
Sounds good. Well, I want you to enjoy the rest of your week. I know you got a busy rest of your week ahead of you, shipping out the rest of Wave 5 to your pre-orders and orders and stuff like that. So do you guys still have a little bit of stock available for those of you that didn't
so
pre-order?
Wave 5 is in stock. But if we sell out of that before the end of the year, we'll just be restocking it next year. So if you're on the fence about it, I recommend getting it sooner than later and checking it out. And I can't wait to see everyone's pictures. Most of the pre-orders, they'll be receiving it this week. So should start seeing a lot of photos of people using it within the next week or two. And I can't wait to see what people come up with.
Well, nice. Exciting stuff. So I look forward to all those photos as well. I'm sure they're going to pop up all over my timeline as well. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see them. And hopefully, like I said, you'll come on the show. I'll definitely have you on the show after you drop the next wave and we'll talk more about it and stuff. So with that being said, thank you so much once again for coming on.
Cheers, everyone. All right.
Cheers.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for episode 33 of Coffee and Toys. And thank you so much for this week's guest, Diorama Prints, guys. If you are into toy photography, definitely check them out. It's a cheaper alternative to you commissioning or even you yourself building a diorama, whether it's in time or even just money itself, So definitely check them out. They have their new wave already shipping. It's in stock now. Wave 6 will be dropping December 1st. So look forward to all of that and so much more, guys. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much. I'm trying to think who's going to be next week's guest. Next week's guest is going to be, I believe, Kiko Collects, the 1/6 collector. He's also on YouTube. So definitely check him out. I think I just confirmed with him today, actually, like literally right before I came on here, that he's going to be coming on next week. So super excited to be talking to him. He has a great YouTube dedicated to 1/6 collecting. And as you can see, I'm into 1/6 collecting. I just got into it, and when I first got into it, he was one of the first people that I watched and everything. He had a lot of great information on how to care, handle, and even just collect and find good deals on hot toys and 1/6 figures. So super excited to talk to him about everything 1/6 and so much more as well. So with that being said, guys, join me next week. Actually, next week will be the first time that this show will be on a Thursday opposed to a Wednesday. I'm changing my schedule up a bit, and so Thursday is going to be my day off. And so Coffee and Toys Live will now officially be on Thursday starting next week. So November, I think 5th or 6th, if I'm not mistaken, will be the first Coffee and Toys Live on a Thursday. So super excited about that, guys. With that being said, I've been your host, Jesse the Bat Madrigal, aka the Buff Collector. If you haven't already, please follow me here on Instagram at CoolFigurez. Also follow my separate Instagram account for my more thought out plan and more edited pics, Epic Shots by CoolFigurez. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, CoolFigurez. With that being said, guys, as always, have a great fucking day.
Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. If you enjoyed those pics, you can find the full images over on Instagram at CoolFigurez. And I do also have a separate Instagram account for my more thought out, planned out, more edited pics called Epic Shots by CoolFigurez. Check it out. If you like what you see, leave me a follow there as well. And if you guys like unboxings, check me out over on TikTok at CoolFigurez. That's where I post all of my unboxings. And check me out every Sunday for Coffee and Toys, a weekly Toy News Toy Talk podcast where we will go over all the latest and great toy news, reveals, pre-orders, weekly toy haul, and so much more. And join me every Wednesday over on Instagram for Coffee and Toys Live, where I will speak to a new guest every week about toys, toy hunting, toy photography, and so much more. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to me talk about toys. I really do appreciate it.